Hello and welcome to the presentation on generating capital from social media by Team Amethyst. This presentation is based on an article published in MIS Quarterly Executive and co-authored by Munir Mandiwala and Richard Watson. Here's our agenda. We will start with a description of what describes social media, what are the 5 different types of capital, and how social media strategy can be used. We will then talk about the tactics, starting with Tactic 1, listening and branding, Tactic 2, mining and deciding, Tactic 3, conversing and sharing, and then the final tactic, co-creating and innovation. We will then discuss some examples where these tactics and the overall strategy was implemented by organizations and whether those were successful. And finally, we'll compare those tactics and conclude. So what is social media? Well, most of us know social media as the application that provides a platform to connect with other people. The connections could be in the context of friends, co-workers, organizations, etc. But the underlying notion is to be able to communicate with others irrespective of their locations. But social media is not just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Social media is defined as the technological enablement and enhancement of human interactions in society and organizations. This definition will serve as the background for the context of this presentation. What is capital? Capital is a durable and transforming factor of production generated by a prior investment. There are 5 types of capital. The economic capital, which relates to the financial aspect. The social capital are connections, network, ability to call upon others. Symbolic capital, this relates to the prestige or honor. Brand value could be a good example of symbolic capital. Human capital, the skills and knowledge of the people who may be workers, friends, members in a community. And finally, the organizational capital, which is the institutionalized knowledge. Organizational strategy shapes capital creation goals, which in turn drives social media strategy. The tactics we are about to discuss provide a mechanism for achieving the capital creation targets. Let's go ahead and list the various social media tactics. The 4 social media tactics are listening and branding, mining and deciding, conversing and sharing, and co-creating and innovating. And we will talk about these in the following slides. Let's talk about 2 tactics here. The first of the 4 tactics used to generate capital from social media is listening and branding. This tactic is all about engaging with customers and other stakeholders, both current and prospective. If you've ever seen a company respond to a complaint online, then you've witnessed this tactic at work. It's extremely important in this day and age to stay in tune with community and environment that surround the organization. Anyone can post something online that may be detrimental to the company's brand if not responded to and handled properly. This tactic includes 4 dimensions: control, information, criticism, and socialness, with each having its own set of related strategies. With careful planning and active monitoring of the company's social media strategy, the company can utilize this tactic to create and develop organizational, human, social, and symbolic capital for the firm. The next social media tactic we'll discuss is mining and deciding. Today's prevalent use of social media provides a sea of information that can potentially be used to generate human and organizational capital for companies. This tactic involves the analysis of everything from discussion posts to demographics to glean vital information. Social media is, by nature, highly unorganized, messy, and full of unreliable data. But if the company can implement a sound strategy and leverage its resources to sort through the plethora of data available via social media, then it can identify trends and relationships between stakeholders to find what drives value. There are two more social media tactics from which companies can choose. The conversing and sharing tactic aims to create a community of linked members who share and discuss ideas and knowledge. Some examples include discussion forums, blogs, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or SharePoint. Organizations who understand the power of these group dynamics and use this format for knowledge exchange can build social and symbolic capital which generates new human and organizational capital. There are several risks associated with this tactic due to its loose, informal nature and the low level of control. Security, privacy, and intellectual property are exposed since these groups cross organizational boundaries. Also, it can backfire on an organization when the community bandwagon is oppositional or resistant to an idea. In order for this tactic to provide value, the conversations must be sustained for a prolonged period of time, and there are four models of achieving this: social influence, social exchange, social capital, and network effects. The co-creating and innovating tactic is similar but engages only stakeholders such as employees, customers, and suppliers in an effort to create innovative products, processes, services, or solutions. It uses crowdsourcing to gain valuable information through ratings and reviews or to reward best practices or ideas. When this tactic is successful and leads to innovation, it is developing organizational capital and converting it to economic capital. Some of the challenges with this tactic are project related, such as getting started, gaining stakeholder buy-in, and managing quality of results. Let's take a look at some examples of implementation of these tactics. Lockheed Martin, a defense contractor, implemented the conversing and sharing tactic. The company's engineers were a huge source of proprietary knowledge and their attrition was a problem. The company started using net experts as the go-to nodes in a social structure and allowed collaboration between technicians and engineers. The program was successfully rolled out worldwide and there were thousands of technicians and engineers using this model now. On the other hand, Popular Science and Predictions Exchange used the co-creating and innovating tactic. It developed an exchange for predicting marketplace where users could trade virtual currency based on the likelihood of an event realization. The company faced various problems such as interpretation of market workings, inconsistency of rules, conflicting goals in terms of growth, etc. There were users who regularly cheated and admins who had to alter the rules regularly. The company shut down in 2009 with about 30K users. Now let's check the gold standard in social media implementation, and that's Amex, American Express. Amex views social media and digital platforms as key for economic growth. It actively engages merchants, small businesses, and consumers. For example, it has an online community for members that increases symbolic capital and brand value. It uses an online forum for small businesses to grow the human, symbolic, and social capital for those small businesses themselves, which then allows Amex to grow its symbolic capital. And it uses smart offers that are targeted for customers so that they don't need to use coupons, and leverages the social capital, that is the friends and connections of those customers, to create economic capital. Now let's compare the tactics to see which offers the best solution. One of the more significant sources for prompting this research is found in the comparison of capital investment versus capital generation case analysis detailed in figure 7 shown here. This figure allows you to observe different companies, their initial investment, and their subsequent capital generation. It is actually quite interesting to note that large investment does not perfectly correlate with large capital generation. In fact, if you look at Lockheed and the Obama campaign, you can clearly see that Lockheed made significantly more investment than did the Obama campaign, but yet the Obama campaign out-generated Lockheed. Another important suggestion found in this figure is that equivalent investment does not guarantee equivalent returns. This is best illustrated when comparing the Obama campaign with the Amex project. In this circumstance, the original investment between the two organizations was equal. However, the resultant yield was not the same, heavily favoring the Obama campaign. These disparities give credibility to the theory that various tactics and forms of capital generate different outcomes. When looking at Table 5, we can look at the tactics and how they compare in various categories. Note which tactics correspond to which capital types as well as to the single outlier in the availability. According to the authors, an integrated approach combining various tactics will yield the best outcome. To conclude, we would like to highlight the following points. Although social media may sound like a confusing domain to senior managers, it can be leveraged to generate capital. As we saw, capital has various types: economic, social, symbolic, human, and organizational. Social media tactics that were discussed in this presentation can be used to enhance various types of capital. Staying in touch with prospective community and getting key stakeholder buy-in is very critical while implementing a tactic. There is no one-size-fits-all model. Organizations may be best served by combining tactics. And finally, a note of caution that equivalent investments may not generate equivalent results. With that, I would like to thank you for watching this presentation delivered by Team